Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, joined on this fine Sunday afternoon, almost evening my time, afternoon your guys' time, by nobody. I will get to why here in a second. It's great news as to why. But yeah, right now I'm going to be riding solo, and it appears like I will likely be riding solo on these post-game shows for the foreseeable future. Though again, I'll explain why here in a second. The Lakers won this one 107-96 at home against a just really depressing Phoenix Suns team. They end their 4-game losing streak. They are back on track. It appears that, they should be getting a little healthier too, which obviously helps, even though Phoenix was playing really dirty once they got down by enough. But yeah, the Lakers were able to kind of ride out that odd play, is how I will say it, from Phoenix in the second half, and pick up a big win here to get back on track. And to hopefully, gain a little bit of momentum. They have the Spurs tomorrow night, and then it's another back-to-back against the Nuggets and the Bucks in reverse order this time. So they'll get the Nuggets first this time. So we'll see how those games go. Quick reminder, we will please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. And then if you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge to find the show there. If you guys are listening to this in the morning via podcast, hit that subscribe button and hit that share button as well there. Tell your friends about the show. And then, leave those 5-star reviews on iTunes, and I'll be able to get to as many questions during mailbag episodes as I can whenever I see those reviews. Let's go ahead, though, and talk about this game. Again, the final score was 107-96. The Lakers pick up their first win in what feels like a little while. I'll explain why I wasn't really that nervous about the circumstances, even given the annoying loss to Brooklyn. We'll talk about Luka still hating the Phoenix Suns. Jaxson Hayes made his return back from injury, looked great. Christian Koloko looked a little less great. And then Austin Reaves, I thought, played fantastically. Outplayed Devin Booker, probably outplayed Kevin Durant as well. And the Lakers were able to win comfortably. Before I get into the specifics of the game, I did Jovan's show last week, and I believe one of the first questions he asked me was where do I stand? Do I think that the sky is falling and stuff like that? It was coming off of the Brooklyn loss, and maybe another lot. No, I think it was coming off of the Brooklyn loss, and he asked, is it time to be a little nervous about the Lakers? And I told him that I wasn't all that nervous about it, and one of the reasons that I wasn't that nervous about it was JJ Redick's reaction to that Brooklyn loss and how angry he clearly was about the way that the Lakers played that game. So, I said, I really think that, you compare JJ's reaction to that one to Darvin Ham last year saying, people are living and dying based on the outcome to these games and that we need to calm down a little bit. You could tell that JJ Redick is no. We have to play with urgency. We can't take shortcuts against bad opponents. We can't allow teams to come back into games. And he was clearly pissed about the way that the Lakers played that game against Brooklyn. And then, you play against Denver really shorthanded. And the Lakers first you play against Milwaukee. And Luka does everything he possibly can to keep the Lakers in that game. They just didn't have enough talent. Milwaukee pulls away in the second half. And then Saturday night, the Lakers played, I thought, one of my favorite games of the season, even given the outcome, and absolutely pushed Denver to the final possession. And it took a Jamal Murray like step back 3-pointer to win that game for Denver. And again, like it's, that's another shorthanded team there. They played that game without Luka and really pushed Denver in a meaningful way. And then the next game after that, you have a day to recover. Luka's able to play in this one, and the Lakers beat the Suns handily. Getting back to some of the things that JJ Redick was talking about that the Lakers needed to get back to after that loss to Brooklyn. So to kind of tie all this take together, once I saw that JJ was clearly pissed about the way that the Lakers played in that Brooklyn game, and that he was willing to go out and light the Lakers on fire publicly in that press conference, I was like, you know what? I think they're going to be all right. I really think they're probably, now let's see how they respond to JJ Redick lighting them on fire. Let's see how he handles it. But I think they're going to be all right. And lo and behold, they do respond well. They haven't played, I would say, an outright bad game since, and finally got back on track here tonight. Once they finally got back at another starter, they're still down 2 starters, and one of those starters is LeBron James, and the other one is Rui, who the Lakers could really use right now while Dorian Finney-Smith was in a pretty brutal slump shooting the ball. So, yeah, this game, I think, kind of highlights and hammers home why, and frankly, the last 3 games really kind of hammer home why I wasn't all that, the sky wasn't falling to me when the Lakers had lost a few in a row, or they had lost a couple in a row going into the Milwaukee and Denver back to back. I know people were saying, "Oh, here comes the play-in, here comes this, here comes that," and I was just never really willing to do that. When Luka is healthy, he racks up wins. When Luka is healthy against the Phoenix Suns, he tends to win those games. And in this one, I thought that the Lakers really, welcomed the challenge of playing up to Luka's level when he gets up to that level against the Phoenix Suns. I thought Austin was excellent. I thought Gabe hit some big shots. Dorian, even though he was slumping, I thought he hit the biggest shot of the night. The Lakers lead had dwindled down to like 8 or so with 1.5 minutes to go. Dorian was wide open from 3-point range, didn't hesitate, fired away, knocked down a 3-pointer that brought the lead back up to 11, and the Lakers just kind of took care of business from there. So, I'm happy to see that JJ Redick is willing to light the Lakers on fire when they need to be when they need a fire lit under their ass, and B, that the Lakers responded the way that they have responded to JJ Redick calling them out the way that he did. That all of it comes together, and I think that's a pretty solid and resounding message that was received by the Lakers. All right, let's talk about this game in particular, and you have to start with Luka, who still very clearly hates the Phoenix Suns. It was also fun to watch him. He was mic'd up on this one. There was probably a lot of audio that ESPN probably wasn't allowed to use because of some 4-letter words that he had for the Phoenix Suns bench after it felt like every shot. But Luka played 40 minutes in this one, came in a little early. So the Lakers were playing without Luka to start the fourth quarter. Austin was handling those minutes, and the lead was just kind of like steadily trickling away. And JJ Redick basically made the decision, like, you know what? We can't lose this game. We can't risk losing this game. And he re-entered Luka into the game at the 8.5 minute mark instead of waiting for the full 5 minutes that he would have normally liked to. And so Luka played a couple extra minutes there in the fourth quarter. And that really wound up helping the Lakers win a lot more comfortably than I think they would have if JJ waited a little bit longer. But Luka finishes the game with 33 points on 8 of 20 shooting, 4 of 11 from 3-point range, 13 of 14 from the free throw line. Good to see a progression to the mean game from Luka in terms of free throw making in this one, not just free throw taking, but also free throw making. 11 rebounds, 8 assists, a couple of steals, only 4 turnovers, which is actually progress compared to how he had been playing recently. And again, I thought that Luka's approach to this game was matched by his teammates, as you typically see with teams' best players. They set the tone, and in this one, I thought that Luka set a very aggressive tone on Phoenix, and the Lakers saw that approach and were like, "Oh hell yeah, all right, let's do this," and handle business. I also want to say, not only was Luka, I thought, fantastic offensively, and those numbers that I talk about obviously are mostly of the offensive variety, but I thought his defense was actually really good. In this one, the Lakers only give up 96 points to a Phoenix team that had just hit 24 3-pointers the other night, a season high 24 3-pointers. Now, I did think that the Lakers gave up a few open looks to some important players who were just struggling from 3-point range. Booker went 0 of 3 from 3-point range. Kevin Durant went 2 of 7. The Lakers were just letting Ryan Dunn shoot. He goes 2 of 8, so I'm not too worried about that. Bradley Beal went 0 for 2 before he didn't play in the second half. Honestly, I think the biggest development and the biggest difference in the halves, first to second, is that Bradley Beal didn't play in the second half. He's terrible. And then Royce O'Neal, 2 of 8, which is pretty bad for him. Tyus Jones, 2 of 6, which is pretty bad for him. And then Colin Gillespie went 1 of 6. So the Lakers gave up a lot of 3-point shooting and never really paid for it. The Suns shot 9 of 41, which is 22% from 3-point range. And still, though, I thought Luka was very active on the boards, went up and got some rebounds. That was the most vertical explosiveness that I think I've seen from Luka so far in his time as a Laker. I think this was his 14th game as a Laker. And again, slowly but steadily, I think we're starting to see Luka look more and more and more like himself. He was able to turn the corner a ton today, got to the free throw line a ton. Because he was able to turn that corner, he was attacking blitzes, and he was, welcoming physicality and turning that into free throw opportunities. So yeah, it was, like the other day I said, you kind of hate, quote unquote, wasting a game that Luka played against the Bucks, right, where he finishes with 45 or 47, whatever number he finished with in that one. But at the same time, he's 26 years old. He's going to have a ton more, also excellent games. And this was another one of those games. He was fantastic in this one, was clearly the best player on the court for the entirety of the game. And basically, anytime he was on the court, the Lakers looked like a significantly better team. He finished tied for a game high plus minus in this one. He was a plus 16. Dorian was also a plus 16, and Gabe was a plus 15. But just outstanding game from Luka, who again set that tone of no, we are not losing again, and we specifically are not losing to these dweebs. I went out of order. The skid snapped was about the culture and the tone and JJ Redick. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead here to Jaxson Hayes and the game that he played. This is his first game back after a few games off. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, a block, plus 7 on the game. 8 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from the free throw line. He's going to have to improve as a free throw shooter if he really wants to maximize the opportunity he has in front of him, playing on a Luka team, because eventually teams are just going to start hacking him. Now they aren't necessarily getting close enough to hack him because of the shooting threat that the Lakers have out there on either corner. So it's like if it's Gabe on the corner, if it's Austin on the corner, if it's Dorian on the corner, teams are still really reluctant to play fully off of them to shut off the paint. And that's how you arrive at Jaxson Hayes getting 10 attempts in a game, as well as 7 free throws. But I think eventually, if his free throw shooting continues to kind of look the way that it did tonight, teams are just going to start beating the crap out of him. So, he'll need to improve on his free throw shooting. But overall, like, again, when Jaxson was on the court, the Lakers were just too much for Phoenix, especially offensively. Well, defensively too, because he was, shutting off the paint, very active on the defensive rebound, on those defensive boards. He was very good at boxing out and very good in the Lakers, when they're at their best as a rebounding team, the Lakers do this thing where it's like, all right, I might not be able to grab this rebound, but I for sure am not going to let my guy grab this rebound. So I'm just going to tip it, and I'm going to tip it to a teammate, or I'm going to knock the ball out of my guy's hands to make sure that he doesn't get the rebound, and then hope that in the scramble, we have more guys who are around to be able to gang rebound that ball. And when the Lakers are rebounding at their best, they typically get those loose balls. And in this one, the Lakers grabbed a total of 40 rebounds. They did give up 14 offensive rebounds in this one. Nick Richards was really active on the offensive boards. Colin Gillespie and Devin Booker did a lot of creeping in that they were able to create some extra opportunities for Phoenix there. But Jaxson specifically did that thing where he just kind of like tipped the ball away from guys, and either Luka or Austin or whoever would kind of step in and grab that loose ball. And that was a key development there for Jaxson. And then, I talked recently, and I've talked a lot recently about barriers for entry, like the bare minimum that you need to be in every important category: size, creativity offensively, perimeter defense, athleticism, versatility. The Lakers got above that barrier for entry in terms of size by having Jaxson back, and then also having Dorian back. And yeah, so long as either, or let alone both of those guys were on the court together, the Lakers were just stifling defensively. And then also, like Kevin Durant got into it a little bit with Bud, apparently, over how to guard Luka. There was also sound during a mic'd up moment where Kevin Durant was like, yeah, we aren't going to be able to stop them from scoring, so we need to score. I would imagine Bud didn't really like that quote, but it was really clear that Phoenix just had no idea what to do with the Lakers offense. They ran a ton more organized offense in this one, according to our dude Crangis's numbers over the course of the game. And it was a great effort there from the Lakers on the whole, but also specifically Jaxson, as he continues to make himself, I would imagine, a decent amount of money this upcoming offseason. The other guy I wanted to talk about here was Austin. 39 minutes for Austin Reaves, 10 of 21 from the field, 4 of 10 from three-point range. So not his most efficient game, but 28 points, 6 assists, 4 boards, couple of steals, a block shot, only 2 turnovers. He was a plus 14 on the game, and nobody who was guarding Austin was able to stay in front of him for very long. Was able to get to the free throw line tonight, 4 or 5 from the free throw area tonight. His mid-range shot looked pretty good and looked clean. But the biggest thing was in watching this game, Austin clearly trusted his body in ways that I don't know that he necessarily had before the Saturday night game against Denver. Remember, in that Saturday night game, I think Austin dropped 37 points and had that double-double. Those of you who follow my underdog picks, we cashed on that one, went 4 of 4 Saturday night. And Austin hitting a double-double was the biggest kind of odds maker for us. So that was good to see. But yeah, in that game, Austin looked great, got a little tired there at the end of that game at elevation with all of the creative duties heaped on his shoulders. In this one, obviously back at home, a day's rest between that Saturday night game and this one, or no, yeah, no, yes, no, no. This was Friday night. Friday night was the Denver game, and had a day off between Friday night and this one, even though it wasn't, as much rest because of how early this game was. But I thought Austin, like, I'm going to be completely honest, I thought Austin was the second best player on the court. I thought he outplayed Devin Booker. I thought he outplayed Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant specifically just looked really bored and looked very. I think he's. I'll put it this way. I'd be shocked if he was on the Phoenix Suns after this season. And I think that writing is on the wall. And Kevin Durant is sitting there. And I thought in this one, it was really clear that he's like, I'm just going to get my shots up. I'll play a little defense. I'll argue with Bud and I'll say some funny stuff while I'm mic'd up. But I am counting down the days until I'm no longer on this team. And we'll see what team he eventually goes to. But I'm pretty certain it's not going to be Phoenix after this summer. And I just think they need to blow that thing up. I know Bradley Beal has his no trade clause, and that really complicates things, though I don't even know if Phoenix has enough stuff to move Bradley Beal. They don't want to trade Devin Booker. Excuse me. They don't want to trade Devin Booker, but like they might be forced to because he's going to stop you from being as bad as you need to be. Maybe by trading Kevin Durant, you get enough like depth and maybe some defense there to make up for it. But like, it was really clear the Suns were just better when Bradley Beal wasn't on the court. And that's got a bit of a problem, seeing as that guy is in complete control of whether or not he gets traded. So, but anyway, Austin was fantastic in this one. I thought he also competed defensively. And that's one thing that we have seen a ton from him since the Luka trade is I think Austin's defense has gotten a lot better because he doesn't have to. Remember earlier this year at various points, Austin was asked to initiate the offense and also guard the other team's best perimeter player. And that was too much. That was too much for almost anybody, let alone a player making $12 million a year who doesn't have the athletic advantages that you need to be able to be effective as a point of attack defender. And then they moved D'Lo to the bench, and Max picked up some of the defensive responsibilities, and we saw Austin look a lot better offensively. And then obviously they make the Luka trade, and now Austin goes back to being kind of your point of attack defender, with some help there from Dorian occasionally as well. But Austin has been capable in that role because he doesn't have to initiate the offense all the time. That's Luka's job and LeBron's job. And Austin, I think, has looked a lot better. So another phenomenal game here from Austin. And hopefully this is kind of the beginnings of a trend here, while he hopefully just kind of, and I think the Lakers would be wise when LeBron gets back to give Austin a day off here and there to make sure he stays fresh heading into the postseason. But if Rui comes back sometime this week, which was Shams's kind of tentative report before this game, maybe we see Rui back in a Lakers uniform sometime this week. And then JJ Redick keeps saying that LeBron James is day to day and that he basically trusts LeBron with his body. So I guess LeBron, there was a clip during the game of LeBron getting some shots up and going through, at least 75% practice before the game, which is a big step in the right direction. The fact that he feels comfortable even doing that with the tweaked groin. So maybe they get LeBron back in the next, week or so as well. And I think whenever they get one or two of those guys back, now you maybe give Austin a bit of a break, you give Luka a bit of a break, and you go into the postseason as healthy as you possibly can be. and hopefully with a top 4 seed. I don't think they can get the 2nd seed without a little bit of help, without Denver losing some games here down the stretch. But I do think, maybe just maybe they can finish 3rd or 4th. Ideally, I would rather be on the opposite end although I'm a lot less nervous about the Denver matchup. Maybe you just go for the best seed that you can get, and stay as healthy as you can be, and just go from there. And because I don't know, I watched Denver play, and it does kind of feel like that, a lot of that shine has worn off of them. I think Calvin Booth has done just enough to that roster to bring them down to earth enough to where I'm not really as nervous about them as I had been before. And then, OKC, obviously a very daunting team, but I think also that the Lakers would be able to compete in that series too. So, yeah, we'll see what the end of the season looks like and stuff like that. But I think the sooner the Lakers can get LeBron and Rui back and give Luka and give Austin a day off here and there, and then, kind of rotate through days off with the occasional games where everybody is available, so that everybody can get reps with what the team should look like. That, I think, is kind of the approach the Lakers are going to take here, to round out the season over the final. Let's see, how many more games do they have here? 41 and 25 is 66 games. So you have 82 minus 66 is what? 16 more games left in the season. So over those 16 games, I think they try to have everybody available for, say, 9 or 10 of them. And then the other, 6 or 7 of those games, you give some guys some days off. Obviously, you're not going to have LeBron for another, I would say, 3 or 4 of those games, maybe. And then maybe you get Rui back after 1 or 2 of those games. So then you're talking about 14 or 13 or 14 games to take with that approach. And I would say you kind of split those up, 65, 35%, those guys having everybody available, and then the 35% giving guys breaks to stay as fresh as possible, going into the postseason. But yeah, this was a great game to get back on track. All right, we have some starred comments, which means we get to go with this clip. Quick reminder, tomorrow, or today, if you guys are listening to this in podcast form, tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. And we have a duty. We have a long-held responsibility as Lakers fans to go ahead and get pinched, because we cannot wear anything that resembles Celtic green. If you want to get a little clever and maybe game the rules a little bit, you can wear like a really, really faint shade of green that is maybe even a little bit more blue than it is green. That's stretching the rules, but you know what? I get it. But I think we have a responsibility to say, bleep you, St. Patrick's Day. I will not wear green. Pinch me all you want. And trust me, I get my share of pinches. I have a 5-year-old who is very into St. Patrick's Day. And I explained to her, no can do, kid. You can pinch me as much as you want over the course of the day, but I cannot wear that color because that team wears that color. My wife, big fan of St. Patrick's Day. She'll give me a few pinches over the course of the day too. And I'll say, you pinch away, babe, but I will not wear that team's colors of any shade, basically, on this day. where like everybody is celebrating that color. No can do, babe. No can do. Abide your responsibility and get pinched. It's a sacrifice we all have to make together. Anyway, I'm going to try. Maybe I'll find that clip and put some like inspiring music behind it. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive on in to the super comments, starting with, I just want to make sure I don't miss any here. All right. So Marley Villasenor writes, seeing Koloko today made me miss Jemison. He couldn't finish anything near the rim. Really weird game from Koloko. I don't know what was going on there. Now, I did mention earlier that the Suns were playing very physical, bordering on dirty. Ryan Dunn had a play where he like fell into Luka's knee, and then Oso Igudero, is it Darrow? Oso Igudero like landed on Luka's foot. Colin Gillespie poked Austin in the eye. It was and then Nick Richards had a I thought I don't know if it was called an illegal screen, but he like leaned his shoulder in a little bit extra to hit Austin upside the head on a screen. And yeah, I think that physicality really kind of bothered Christian Koloko. Now look, Christian Koloko probably weighs less than I do. Let's see. What does Christian Koloko weigh? Let's see if we can answer this, because I think it's possible. Yeah. Christian Koloko weighs 5 pounds more than me. He is 7 feet tall and 220 pounds. I am 5'10" and 215. And it was really clear in this one that, Koloko was getting bumped on his way to the basket, bumped on his way rolling to the basket. So he was never able to really elevate and get up above the rim. And I thought that really affected his play out there. And yeah, it is going to be interesting because the play gets even more physical as you go into the postseason. And Jemison seems to really enjoy that physicality. And he like dishes out his share of cheap shots as well. And I think the Lakers can use that in the postseason. Just, keeping guys honest and know that, like, yeah, if you roll to the basket and Jemison is there and it isn't Koloko, better chance that he'll block your shot. Jemison, better chance that he'll introduce you to Mr. Floor, as Stu Lance used to say. And it's going to be interesting to see like which guy they choose there between. We did see Alex Len catch a DNP CD in this one. So I think it is only a matter of time until he is off the Lakers roster. Cam Reddish got another DNP CD as well. So again, pretty good chance that he is off the Lakers roster here pretty soon. And yeah, I think they'll definitely convert Goodwin in a matter of, might be days, might be a week or so, whenever it is. And then they're also going to convert one of Koloko or Jemison, and it'll be interesting to see which choice they make there. But it was it was a brutal game for Christian Koloko. Next one here comes from Brandon Omeng writing, JV only 10 minutes. Neat. He did play. Yeah, only 10 minutes for Jared Vanderbilt. I think, well, for one thing, he airballed that 3-pointer. And I think JJ might have thought that Vando might be reluctant to shoot from that point forward. And maybe he got out ahead of it. Vando also played a ton of minutes, over the course of last week by his standards. And I think the Lakers are very, very cautious about how they're going to handle his foot from here on out, because they need him in the postseason. But it is interesting, Vando, you have Kevin Durant out there for him to guard. You have Devin Booker out there for him to guard. You would think that this is a game that you would extend his minutes a little bit, but they chose not to. They played him only the 10 minutes that he played tonight. And he looked a little dogged. He looked a little tired. So I think the Lakers were just kind of like, you know what? The only way you're effective is if you're playing with infinite turbo. Let's go ahead and ease off the gas pedal with you. Let's give you a pseudo night off here and keep you rested because the Lakers need to win tomorrow night against San Antonio, who is like they're playing without Victor Wembanyama. De'Aaron Fox is out for the rest of the year. So like it's a game that the Lakers should win. But all that said, I think Vando's minutes were purposefully like they were kept low on purpose. Need to run more plays to get DK going instead of him just being a 3-point shooter. We don't run anything for him anymore. What happened to Dorian Finney-Smith's shot? Well, Dorian has been nursing that ankle thing. And I'm telling you guys, if your feet are not right, you are going to be like an 80% worse shooter. Like it is going to affect your shot that much. And I think we saw that. Now, Dorian did make a couple threes in this one. Which even though he shot, what was it, 2 of 8 from 2 of 6 from 3-point range. Dorian, by the way, played 36 minutes in this one, which is a good sign, I think, for where his body is at. But yeah, 2 of 6 from 3-point range in this one, which is a significant step in the right direction compared to how it has felt like he's been shooting recently. And I think the ankle is still kind of bothering him on his shot. Now the Dalton thing, running plays for him, I think those days are gone. The Lakers have Luka, they have LeBron, they have Austin. Those guys, like if they're going to run a set, it's going to be to get those guys an advantage and put the defense in a tough spot. They like normally when you run stuff for Dalton, it's so that your main ball handler can just kind of like an advantage can be created while your main ball handler just kind of stands there. And that's the kind of thing you can do if you only have one main ball handler. But if you have LeBron and you have Austin and you have Luka, there's enough plays where those guys are going to just kind of stand there that you don't necessarily need to try to waste an opportunity, or a play on Dalton, whose shot has been so inconsistent this year. So I think the Lakers are basically using him as a shooting threat. And then they see what kind of game he's having as a shooter. And then, depending on what kind of game he's having, that kind of dictates what kind of role he's going to play in that game. But yeah, I think the days of Dalton having stuff run specifically for him ended basically when they traded for Luka. Brad Sear, I hope I'm saying that right. Crazy, but is Austin as good as Jamal Murray? Ooh. I love that question. I'm going to pass that along to my dude, Adam. I'm going to say no, but that is going to be really fun to watch over the next like 5 years or so, because Austin Reeves' age, he is 26, and then Jamal Murray age, he's 28. So there's a good chance that over the next like 5 or 6 years or so, Austin at some point in that stretch will be a better player than Jamal Murray. And if that happens, Denver's days are nuked. It's going to be interesting to see that like this offseason, because Michael Porter Jr. has been pretty disappointing for them this year. And it's really clear that, that their younger guys aren't ready to step into the roles that Calvin Booth envisioned for them. And as that is the case, they're probably going to have to go out and upgrade their roster. And one way to do that is to split up Jamal Murray's contract and get some depth there, while maybe getting a player, if Jamal is like a 8.5 out of 10, maybe you trade for, say, a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 type player, as well as another maybe young player or another player making a little bit less money who is still a good NBA player, and you try to expand the number of good NBA players that you have on your roster beyond what they currently have. That's going to be interesting. I've sensed a lot of frustration. The problem with Jamal Murray, too, is that he just doesn't take very good care of himself by NBA players' standards, and he plays himself into shape over the course of the year. And now this year, he's been able to stay healthy. And last year, though, he kind of tweaked a hamstring and wasn't able to play himself into shape and didn't look like himself in the postseason. Now, there's a decent chance he looks like himself in this year's postseason because he has been able to stay relatively healthy and as he's been able to play himself into shape over the course of the season. But still, at some point in his career, he's going to have to change his approach to getting and staying in shape, because as you get older, that gets harder and harder and harder to do. And if he doesn't, then yeah, I think Denver would be smart to see what you can possibly get for Jamal Murray. Let's see here. The last one, Gorilla asks, friction between Katie and Bud. Do the Suns owe Vogel an apology, considering their worst this year? Hell yeah, they owe Vogel an apology. The Lakers do too. Anyway, by the way, I think another team should hire Frank Vogel. I think he's a good NBA coach. It's going to be interesting to see what his market is this offseason, whether that be as a head coach or as a lead assistant or a defensive coordinator kind of a coach. But yeah, the whole notion of, wow, Bud's going to be this crazy upgrade over Vogel, I never thought made a ton of sense. He's just a different version of Vogel, I think. And his strengths are kind of already managed by KD and Booker, whereas Vogel's strengths helped with the weaknesses that Vogel and Booker have. And yeah, I think that's a firing and a hiring that I don't know if they outright regret right now, but it certainly doesn't look very good in hindsight. And just by the way, firing Frank Vogel to hire Darvin Ham is another one where I never understood it. The guy won a championship for you. You gave him terrible rosters and then fired him as a result of it, hired a worse coach in Darvin Ham, and now you get bailed out because you hire JJ Redick. A great hiring is what it looks like right now. And then you also get bailed out by getting Luka Doncic. But yeah, I think Frank Vogel is one of the more underrated coaches in the sport. And those teams that have fired him have typically lived to regret it. Whoops, wrong one. Well, not necessarily. I'm never going to apologize for playing that one. All right, let's see. You know what? Let's go. I'm gonna answer some of you guys' free comments here. Oh, all right. Here's a good comment here. So Volta Damar asking or saying that the people demand Raj. George Santiago, Raj joining Silver Screen might be the reason why he isn't here today. I think I saw some other people asking about Raj. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and answer the Raj thing. After last show, the last one that he and I recorded together, he told me that Silver Screen and Roll hired him to be their like video coordinator, or his job is going to do like video breakdowns where he grabs clips, breaks a clip down in text, grabs another clip, breaks a clip down, and writes pieces using those clips and using video to kind of boost their content. It's a great hire. I'm really, really happy for him. I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but I got hired well, started talking while I was at Lakers Daily. Clutch Points started liking my writing, and we kind of started that conversation. And when it reached the point of them making an offer to me, one of the things that they told me was like, hey, by the way, like, we kind of sort of need a reporter in the building all the time. Do you have anybody that you can think of that you think you would work well with? And I immediately said Raj. For one thing, him going and covering games in the building, that's his dream come true. And I'm absolutely thrilled that my former employer, like, it's a full circle moment. I'm really happy for Raj that he now gets to do that, go and cover games in person and live out that dream for himself and get paid to do it. So Clutch Points asked me about that. I said Raj immediately. And the problem is, like, Raj, I'm an English major. I've been doing this stuff for a decade. I've been writing about basketball for probably a little bit longer than that. So writing has always come very easy to me. And I just don't really like doing it, to be completely honest. I would much rather sit here and talk to you guys. But, uh, Raj was very raw as a writer. So, his writing wasn't necessarily where it needed to be. And I told Clutch Points, I was like, look, I will get his writing to where it needs to be, to where you guys can feel comfortable with Raj as your Lakers guy or your reporter in the house. Um, and so we literally, and this is where I say Raj put in the time to do this. We literally, he learned how to write over the course of like a summer. Basically, I gave him like a crash course on writing about sports, and told him the rules, told him about leads and kickers, and not burying your lead and all of that good stuff, and literally like walked him through how you need to write to be able to get the gig at Clutch Points. And now he put in the work. He deserves all of the credit because he put in the work. He, Harrison, I think, also played a role here too. He's had a bunch of people in his corner because when he's a great dude, he works hard as hell and he wants this so badly. So he takes Clutch Points writing exam, passes it with flying colors, and becomes our South Bay Lakers insider. And he's been doing that. He's been working on how to ask questions. And, Harrison and I have been working with him on how to ask questions and what kind of questions and answers are going to go viral and stuff like that. And he's been steadily improving over the course of the year. And then, Silver Screen and Roll approached him about a position. And, I had heard about the position that they were thinking about, and I was like, told Harrison, who obviously matters a ton there at SB Nation, and this was already in the works anyway, but I was like, if y'all don't hire Raj for that position, knowing what that position appears to be, like, I will fight everybody in that building. And Raj, again, because he has put in the work as a video analyst and because he has now put in the work as a writer, now he gets that opportunity. Now it does, however, unfortunately for the show, mean that he won't be doing post-game shows because he's going to be asked to quickly turn around post-game analysis for them. And we'll, that has to be his top focus. So I'll probably be writing solo for these shows, at least for a little while I try to find potentially a post-game person to break these games down with. But he is now, the post-game analyst for Silver Screen with the video breakdown specifically. and he gets that gig, and he absolutely deserves it. I could not possibly be more happy about this for Raj. He's somebody who I have really taken a personal investment in making sure that dude makes it. And this is just another step along that process. So really thrilled for Raj. Does mean this show is going to sound really different post game, but he will still be a regular presence here in the lounge, and he will, he's not going anywhere. Like Harrison does every other Tuesday. I would imagine we'll probably arrive somewhere like that with Raj, depending on what his schedule looks like and what he's willing to do. But as it stands right now, and the most important thing here is just how thrilled we all are. I mean, there's a legit community of people who have all been pulling hard for Raj for a long time now, because again, he is just one of the absolute best people I've ever met in this industry. He loves this stuff. He eats it. He sleeps it. He drinks it. He doesn't even like other media forms because he's like, I don't want to waste my time on those things while I could be watching basketball. And he has turned that hunger into a real opportunity there at Silver Screen. And here's hoping he's able to parlay that into the next thing as well. So incredible news there for Raj. Congratulations to him for it. And now we move. I have to go out and find another post-game person because I don't really like talking to myself. I get really bored of my own voice. Oh, wrong button. All right. I think I think that that is probably going to do it here for this episode of The Lounge. I think honestly a great place to end it. Singing Raj's praises is always a good way to end a show. So that's how we're going to do that. I will record a lowdown here tonight to recap the game in a nice bite-sized way for you on the RSS feed. So keep an eye out for that. And then the Lakers are right back in action tomorrow night against the Spurs. So we will break down that game post game there as well. And enjoy the rest of our weekends. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying, have a great rest of your weekend. Make somebody else's. Have a very safe and fun St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully getting pinched. And until the next time you guys hear from me, man, what a win. What a nice return to normalcy for the Lakers.